The bodies of her enemies were torn apart whenever Yoo Sung's daggers moved. Amazing. Was this really the Yoo Sung that I knew? There weren't many skills that could show such power against a large group. At the present time, it was probably just Gong Pildu's arm zone and Han Soo-young's avatar. Yet, Yoo Sung was showing such power without such a great skill. How did she become so strong? What was this talent? Yoo Jonghyuk spoke as if he had read my thoughts. She grew faster because you weren't around. You seem to have no aptitude for raising your fellow companions. It's the same for Lee Hyung-sung. They grew to this extent because I pushed them in the beginning. Actually, I didn't really believe it, but I wanted to say it. Damn. Why did she get stronger when I wasn't around? Why didn't I seem to be much help? Hey! I nodded Han Soo-young. I couldn't be overwhelmed by Yoo Sung forever. In any case, there were many enemies, and Yoo Sung was alone. Yoo Sung-shi, this way! Yoo Sung stopped when she heard my words. She clearly hadn't expected to meet me in this place. Han Soo-young. Han Soo-young triggered Avatar like she was waiting. Dozens of Avatar disturbed the vision of the Poisoners group, and I safely made contact with Yoo Sung. Dokja-shi, how are you? Let's talk after moving. The group members were chasing from afar. Fortunately, the survivors seemed to escape safely through the Gangdong Bridge. The problem was on our side. Go back to the high-rise buildings. The most important step is to go and secure visibility. As expected, Yoo Jonghyuk's judgment was valid. I might have read all of Ways to Survival, but I couldn't make battlefield judgments like Yoo Jonghyuk. Then Yoo Jonghyuk followed with meaningful words. And that woman. You should be careful of her. Be careful? Who? Yoo Jonghyuk didn't say anything else. We quickly hid inside a high-rise building. The monster suddenly flooded the area, probably due to the turmoil, and just narrowly missed our tail. They soon gave up and returned to Inner Gangdong. I looked back at Yoo Sung. Yoo Sung-shi, are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Dokja-shi? Yeah, I'm also fine. It had only been a few days, but the conversation was awkward. I felt like I was meeting an alumni from high school 10 years after graduation. I looked away from her in her tight battlesuit and opened my mouth. I couldn't figure out what to ask. In the meantime, I looked at Han Soo-young. Yoo Sung saw Yoo Jonghyuk being carried on the back of Han Soo-young's avatar and gave me an unknown smile. Dokja-shi must have done a lot in the meantime. It was time to listen to a short story. After the Absolute Throne was smashed, Yoo Sung fell to Gangdong-gu. Fortunately, there was someone who fell with her. Gong Pildu was with you? Yes, Ajashi helped me a lot. Seeing that she was calling him Ajashi, they seemed to have become quite familiar with each other. Where is Gong Pildu? 2 days ago, he was injured while we were fighting the Gangdong group. It was while I was trying to save me. Many surprising things kept happening today. One of the 10 evils, Gong Pildu, risked himself in order to save someone else. Yoo Sung bowed her head and spoke with difficulty. In the end, Ajashi lured them to Han River. Yoo Sung bit her lips, and a poisonous expression filled her face. I suddenly realized why Yoo Sung killed the Poisoners group without hesitation. I spoke to comfort her. Gong Pildu is probably okay. Don't worry. I had a contract with Defense Master, so I knew immediately when Gong Pildu died. I'd be penalized according to the terms of the contract. The fact that there was no reaction meant that Gong Pildu was alive somewhere. Like the Poisoner, Gong Pildu was also part of the 10 evils. It wasn't that easy for him to die. Where did you get those clothes and the dagger? This... After separating from Gong Pildu, Yoo Sung found the green meteorite. The green meteorite was a meteorite containing rare items. I checked the items she had. I remember that there was a meteorite containing these items in the vicinity of Cheongho-dong. Ancient Assassin's Dagger, Rich Cat's leather suit. Both were excellent S-grade items. The Ancient Assassin's Dagger had the option of increasing damage to distant enemies, while the Rich Cat leather suit increased movement speed along with the duration of the attack. They're great items. Yes, I'm able to fight well thanks to these items. Yoo Sung smiled, and the quietly listening Han Soo-young spoke up. Are you sure that's all? Huh? Let's say you accidentally got the items, but it doesn't make sense to have such combat skills. Who the hell is your sponsor? How did you raise quick movements or dagger mastery so quickly? It's impossible for the growth to be so fast, even with a growth package. Who are you? Me? I'm the first apostle. Yoo Sung raised her weapon without speaking. Calm down, Yoo Sung-shi. This person isn't an enemy. Yoo Sung looked at me with disbelief. Are you friends now? We aren't friends. The Chongmudo members died because of that person. Surely you haven't forgotten. Yusanga was the deputy of Chongmudo while I was absent. Therefore, her affection toward the Chongmudo members would be deeper than mine. Han Seung said, Chongmudo? Huh, I see. You're that woman. Yusanga narrowed her eyes at the words. Han Seung smiled and added, Hey Kim Dokja, I'm a bad person, but I'm also a good judge. She has a big sponsor behind her. You? When I saw her Chongmudo, she wasn't that strong. Isn't it strange? She can't grow so explosively in such a short period of time, even if she has a narrative grade sponsor. Maybe if she has an SSS grade accelerated growth skill. How many constellations can provide such support to South Korea? My heart wanted to deny it, but rationally, I knew that Han Seung was right. It was also Yoo Jonghyuk's words from a short while ago. In addition, Yusanga had been hiding her sponsor from me. Yusanga's troubled eyes met mine. I used to think Yusanga's sponsor was abandoned lover of the labyrinth. The only person who could find the path through the magic room was the person who handed the thread to Theseus in Daedalus' labyrinth. But as Han Seung said, it was impossible for her to grow to such a degree with that sponsorship. In addition, the movements that she showed while moving through the air in the previous battle was closer to the Hermes walking method than air steps. I was about to open my mouth when something unexpected happened. Everyone, how have you been? Damn it. This timing. I immediately looked at the window. A new Dokkaebi was floating in the sky. The participants in this scenario are quite hasty. It's still a week before the start of the scenario, and people are already waking up a disaster? Are you curious about the next scenario? It wasn't the level of Bi-hyung's nonsense, but it was still talking nonsense. Perhaps there was no one in charge, so this low-grade Dokkaebi took their place. The Dokkaebi have left their positions, so I will be here for this period. Now have you all eaten your fill? You do know that this event can't be skipped, right? This wasn't good. It was a really bad development. I want to do that, but I won't be a Dokkaebi if I don't give scenarios. The fact that a scenario was appearing now told me one thing. The sub-scenario, disaster prevention, has arrived. It meant that the outbreak of a disaster was just around the corner. Sub-scenario, disaster prevention. Category, sub. Difficulty, S-. Clear conditions. Unknown powers in Gangdong-gu are trying to hatch one of the disasters. Defeat them and stop the incoming disaster. Time limit, 2 hours. Compensation, 22,000 coins. Failure, early emergence of the disaster of questions. Since we received disaster prevention scenario, the poisoners group would have received defend the disaster scenario. Damn Dokkaebis were still trying to be part of the unforeseen situation. I looked at the party members and said, Isn't the time for us to fight? Now we have to handle the situation. Han Seung and Yusanga nodded at the same time. Poisoners group was based in Chonho-gong of Gangdong-gu. To be exact, it was an area filled with churches and a cathedral. If their purpose was to awaken the disaster early, it was a good choice to choose a religious area. The prayers of those who lost their places would create an environment suitable for hatching the disaster. Han Seung finished scouting and opened her mouth. The road with the lowest level of terraforming is in the northeast, centered on the base. It's the 16 Chongjong Road. If we go this way, we can reach the base in the shortest time, but the defenses are formidable. I nodded. We didn't have the time, so we had to go through the fastest way. It's okay. We have to reach the building as quickly as possible. Han Seung and Yusanga will take the front. Don't fight each other. I understand. Yoo Jonghyuk couldn't help right now, so I decided to leave him on the roof of the high-rise building with Han Seung's avatar. His role was to watch the battlefield. Yoo Jonghyuk didn't express much dissatisfaction. He just gave this piece of advice. If possible, get rid of them before the disaster hatches. Without Way of the Wind, the initial suppression of the disaster questions is almost impossible. Of course, I wanted to do that if possible. Let's go. The moment I gave the signal, we jumped down the building. Han Seung used Avatar and took the lead. Dozens of Avatars jumped onto the road and attracted the attention of the poisonous group. What? Kill them! As the confused group members chased after the Avatars, thin and transparent thread filled the air. Ugh! The people chasing after the Avatars were caught by the sharp threads, and their legs were cut off. This wasn't the end. There was another strong thread in the location where the people fell. Their heads were cut off and flew through the air. It was a terrifying double trap designed by calculating the angle of the fall. Han-seong clicked her tongue. She's brutal. You aren't someone who should be saying that. Apart from their feelings towards each other, the combination of the two was worth looking at. No, it was very useful. Thanks to their help, I was able to dig into the center of the base while avoiding their surveillance. It wasn't difficult to find the disaster meteorite. It was a huge meteorite over 8 meters high. It emitted an ominous aura and seemed to say, "I am the disaster." Certainly, it felt like the fire dragon was no comparison. If I couldn't stop this disaster, Seoul would surely be destroyed. Then a woman appeared next to the meteorite. She had hair as white as snow. As I saw the lips that were like red flowers on a snowy mountain, I could see Yoo Jonghyuk's taste. The cold and glossy eyes stared at me, and I felt a terrible spirit emerge from her body. It made my skin crawl. It was an overwhelming feeling compared to Gong Pil-du. I see. Did she also receive the power of the disaster meteorite? Who are you? One of the 10 evils, the poisoner, Li Solhua asked.